Alright, so Kyle here, Kyle High Club. I've done this before in the past couple times. Some monologues, some like smoke sessions or conversations with friends. I think the last time I did that might be 2 years ago now. So I don't know if any of that shit can be really found anywhere. Might be on my website. If not, it's in some old iCloud or phone somewhere. But it doesn't matter. Essentially, I'm just going to try to start this back up, do it every week. Just make note of shit during the week that I see that I'd like to talk about and just, really expand on and just not, express my ideals through 240 characters, because that's just not ideal, especially things that it's not just me, but really anything that is worth discussing. You need more than a fucking tweet to really go in depth and examine both sides of a particular topic or issue. So I'm gonna try. This is where I'm gonna try to do that instead of fucking shitting my mental diarrhea on Twitter. I'm gonna try to do it through this and see how that goes. Don't really care if anybody listens. Don't plan on making money off of this. Obviously, it'd be dope, but not the goal. This is really just going to be for me getting my mental shit, getting the ridiculous shit I see people say, or cool shit that I come across and just want to talk about. I just kind of want to get out of my brain, instead of having it catch me up, get me all caught up and flustered and not free. My brain's not free and in the moment when I'm with actual people in life. So this will be like a little self-therapy session. A crazy person talking to himself and reflecting on himself, while working on himself, while looking at himself. So yeah. I'm just going to stop rambling on about that and I guess just get fucking right to it. Because what else is there to do? So, this is a touchy subject, but it's something I saw some people arguing about today. And it's a little upsetting because I don't know if it's, I guess it's upsetting. It's a touchy topic, but I think it's just upsetting how people are so black or white, or it's a 1 or a 0, when pretty much anything in the world is not that. Even though there's usually only two sides of an issue, because that's the way our feeble minds think. To those issues, there's so many underlying characteristics or factors that, are to each side. And one side's neither right nor wrong. It's that both are a little right and both are a little wrong. Everything's always a little, well, not everything, that's a tricky slope, but give me a sec. So that thing is abortion. That's going to be the very first thing I talk about, because why not? No one else will see it. People will probably pick up at episode 10,000. So this probably won't ever be found, but who cares? I'm not going to say anything bad, but it is a touchy subject. Essentially, I don't have any problem with, let me rephrase it. I have a little problem with abortion, but I don't have a problem if a woman wants to get an abortion. I believe it is their body. It should be their choice whether they want another human being growing inside of them for 9 months. And if they want to deal with the physical and emotional toll that has on somebody, I can't even imagine. Obviously, I'm a man, so I'll never have that happen, and I can never picture that, another human being growing inside of me. So I could understand if some women don't want to do that, or if they got pregnant under unfortunate circumstances, whether that be they're too young, or they, had or were impregnated by somebody they don't wish to have a child with, whether that's just like a shitty spouse, or somebody got raped and got impregnated. So I could totally understand if a woman wants to not live with that, and then every day that child is alive to be reminded of, something potentially really bad, or just another bad human being. That wouldn't be good for the mom or for that child, because she would just hate that child and, just see the bad in that man's eyes. And I understand that. I've been around bad men. I've seen bad fathers pretty close in how they treat their children, and it's not, and even bad mothers. Neither one so much myself, but I've seen some kind of bad stuff. So I get that. So I get that. But at the end of the day, I don't know, it's still killing a potential human being, if not already a human being. I mean, it's a fetus that will potentially grow into a human. And the fact of the matter is, barring any complications such as like malnourishment or just a miscarriage or what have you, all that stuff is equally terrible. And this is a very terrible subject. And it's awful, all sides you kind of look at it. And I wouldn't say I'm either pro-choice or pro-life, but I'd say I'm in the middle. I'm literally in the middle. I see where, if someone got raped and got pregnant by them, they wouldn't want to have a child. They wouldn't want to have that child. And I completely understand that. But then I completely understand, like, the conservative viewpoint, to where they really think it's murder, and they really think you're killing innocent babies who don't have a voice. They literally can't talk. We don't know if they're conscious or even if they're alive. I'm not a fucking scientist, obviously, but I mean, I'm not sure what the weeks are and when the heart gets there, or the brain, or how do we tell when they're sentient or aware, and who says that matters? I know pro-lifers would say that doesn't matter. It would always have the potential to grow into something, potentially, and I get that. So at the end of the day, I honestly see both sides, and that the pro-life people think it's literally killing a baby, and which is one of the most special things in this world. It's new life, it's the new generation. And I'm not a parent, but I just got this from talking to other parents and how they feel about their kids. It's just and you don't even need to have kids. You could have little nieces or nephews, or I have younger cousins who I've known since they were born. I remember them being born, and now I haven't seen them in a year or two, I guess, a year now. But I guess one of them, or two of them, are taller than my mom now. My mom's not tall, but I remember these kids, last time I saw them, they weren't even 5 feet. And so, although we're not that far apart in age, I want to, I want the world to be a better place for them. And then potentially any other, children I may have, or hopefully my brother doesn't have children. I'm just kidding. But, if anyone else in my family has kids, or anybody's kids, I would like the world to be a better place for them in the future. And I don't know where I was going with that, but I was saying babies are special, and and yeah, I mean, I think they truly are special. One of the greatest things out there is bringing new life into this world. People argue that bringing a potentially troubled life or soul into the world is harmful, not only for that soul but other people. I say, yeah, that's a decent argument, but to me that's a lot of what ifs. And sometimes the brightest and the best souls are the ones that are the most tortured. It's kind of fucked up, but for some reason the people that had rough childhoods or rough upbringings always seem to be the most interesting people and the most fun people to be around, because they have life experience and they've been through shit, because their life wasn't always perfect. They're not boring. It's a little dark, but I don't know. I always think there's potential in, if not all people, most people. I think some people are not incorruptible, but they're not coming back. They're kind of dark and set in their ways. But I like to think most people can make it out. And that's really all I have to say about that first topic of this new reinstallment, I guess, of this world, of this thing I'm trying to do. Let's see. So the next thing is, so I posted a Facebook post a couple days ago. Don't remember word for word what it says, but it was basically, would you rather, live in a dog-eat-dog world, straight up survival of the fittest, and the most powerful and just successful people, either they got it by good nature or bad nature, take morals out the window. Don't take morals out of the window for your questions, but take it out of the prompt for these two scenarios. So the first world, dog eat dog, survival of the fittest, most likely the rich, powerful control. Or you live in a world where you just, as a society, as Americans, we willingly give control to a designated group of people. Either that's our established government right now, or a set of elders or something that we think are the best to handle life's qualms and questions and laws and bullshit. And I just posed this as a thought experiment, because it's an interesting one. Because initially, I say the dog-eat-dog world just because, and I'm trying to think of a reason not to choose that one. But essentially, that's the one I initially go with because I I just think that's that's how the world operates right now, honestly. I think that's what we're already living in. And, in the beginning it was chiefs or whatever, or, we lived in tribes of nomads or hunter-gatherers. And while there was small tribes, there'd always be one or even a handful of people, such as a chief or the shaman, the elder shaman, or the older wise man, or even the queen, and their extended family, sons and daughters, princes, princesses, heirs to the throne or whatever. There was always those people that were better. They just excelled harder, or they just had more shit, or they were smarter and they did better. And they had more power because of it, because they earned it and essentially took it. Either by people accepting this as well and giving it to them, like kind of co-signing it, or either by force. This is how it happened for most of human history. And so I think this is, currently where we stand now. People think, there's always government conspiracies going around that, they're controlling your mind, or trying to brainwash you through ads, or they're listening through your microphone. All that stuff is probably true. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's to fucking, I don't know, whatever those guys think. If anything, it's just to sell more shit and make more money and get more shit, just like we always have. And that's really all we want to do. We're just pleasure monkeys, and we like shiny shit because it makes us look cool to the other species, or not species, or the other the other sex, the other gender, or whoever you like to flangle with. And I think that's where we are now. And yeah, we're kind of controlled by the rich and powerful and those of status. But also, at least in America, where things are still pretty free. I can sit and talk into this phone, into this microphone, and just spew the shit I just said, which some people would probably yell at me to my face and scream that I'm a bigot or a racist or sexist or whatever. But I'm none of those things, and I'm just literally just bouncing ideas off the wall. There's no hate in my heart towards anything I'm saying, but I don't know where I was going with that. But I essentially think that's how the world works, and these people, they got us in the control or whatever. But the cool thing is, the game's still open. It's still a game. You can always make more money, get more influence, and try to influence the game as much as you can. Whether or not it makes an impact, who knows? But you can either try or not try. And if you're not trying, then what the fuck are you doing? Besides literally nothing. You're doing nothing. And yeah, you just literally a sheep, I guess. But you can, whatever your definition of trying to play this game of, I have more money than you, let's try to make things better or worse, or however you see fit, to whatever your selfish notion is deep down. And I think it's better to try in this dog-eat-dog world and get eaten, get your ass kicked, get beaten up, and get up again until you get killed, than to just give up and be a lapdog, or be a sheep, So that's that first scenario. Got a little off track there. The second scenario is, or the more I think about this, it sounds nicer. More nice. It sounds nice. But I think you got to be kind of ignorant. You got to be a little ignorant, and you also got to be dumb. Well, I think those go hand in hand. If you really, truly want to enjoy yourself in the system where you willingly give control to the group. And that's essentially what the lapdogs or the sheep would be. You're not trying in the dog-eat-dog world. So you just, here, take my freedoms. Tell me what I'm allowed to say. Tell me what I'm allowed to do. Tell me who to conversate with on a daily basis. Tell me how to approach them. I don't know. Have someone always standing over your shoulder, listening. I mean, we already kind of live in that too. That's why before I started with this, we live in both worlds. But at least we have the illusion that we can at least play the game, which is nice, even if it's an illusion. I don't believe it is. I think it's really there, and you can make something. You can make some sort of change, even if it's just affecting another life, because then that life might affect another, and another, and another. It's just a chain reaction of shit and awesomeness. So just a little thought experiment, throw it out there. Doggy dog world, or give all the shit to the shepherds, and they tell you when to shit, they tell you when to eat, what to watch, what to do, go to sleep. But if you're hanging out with your pals and fucking around and shit, hey, might not be a bad time. So that's the second one. Third thing I came across, and I actually got this from a song, and I forget what the song was. I think it was a Kendrick Lamar song, actually, now that I remember. I don't remember which one or which album, I forget the name, but it was relatively new. I think it was Kentworth, the song, but let's take a sip of coffee. Get another one real quick. Essentially, he said a line. What do you say? He said, this isn't word for word, paraphrasing from memory. I think he said, I always thought it was me versus the world, but then I realized it was me versus me. And I couldn't agree more than 100%. However you're supposed to say that. I couldn't agree. I don't know. The weed and the coffee and the work. I just worked out before this, and fucking 8 hours of work in front of a computer. Fucking brains fried. So it's the perfect time to be doing this. Just free flowing straight from the brain, all truth, and some fucked upness. Hold on. So essentially, he said, me versus the world. He always thought it was me versus the world, which I'm assuming he thought it was that when he was a kid, he was a child, adolescence, probably early 20s, maybe 30s, who knows? I don't even know how old he is. But then, possibly one day, it could have happened in one day, a flip switched, or over a multitude of experiences of just being an adult and being in life, that it's really just me versus me. It's you versus you. It's yourself versus yourself. And that's what life is. It's a battle against who you were yesterday, who you were last week, and that's it. While I have some wacky ideas about like multiverses, or there's multiple instances of you out there living different lives and timelines. I don't know if I really believe it, but interesting ideas. At the end of the day, I think, as far as we can tell, this day-to-day life we live is the only thing that exists to us, because we're all in unison together that, okay, we're doing this every day. All right, cool. I'm talking to this phone at 6:43 p.m. in Madison, Wisconsin, on planet Earth, and the Milky Way galaxy or whatever. And I'll eventually upload this somewhere, and nobody will listen to it. And we've just all agreed on that. And that's how it is. That's the world. And it's kind of dope. And why was I going? Oh, yeah. I go off a tangent, Jesus. So, yeah, it's me versus me. It's yourself versus yourself. Each and every day. Each and every second. Every millisecond. It's the only thing that exists, the present. While the future has happened, and maybe it is always happening as we're living the present, like the future's or the past is happening an infinite amount of times while we're living this future or this present. But while we live this present, while it is now 6:44, it's a minute later, this is the only thing we know. This is the only thing we know for a fact exists. I can knock on this table, can knock on this wall. I don't know if you can hear that or not, because I'm not like a little bitch, but it's the only thing we know exists. So this notion of me versus the world, versus the world, like are you trying to fight everyone else? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to take over the world? Are you some evil genius cabal with some oversized ego that thinks he can control the entire world? No. That's insane. You can't do that. Because there's fucking 7 other billion people out there that are also fighting the me versus me instead of the me versus world life, whether they know it or not. And really, the me versus me is really still me versus world, because the me versus me, that second me, is your world. Each and every day is your world. And what you live and see and breathe, and as my cat licks my nose, it's my world. It's the only thing I know. I know other stuff exists outside of me, but I won't experience them myself because I'm not there. I'm not in their shoes. I'm not in their eyeballs. I'm not in their conscious mind. Experience that with them. So all I can focus on is me and trying to better me so that the me is better for the world and those you really care about. So that's really all I have versus that. I've already spoken way too much hippie nonsense into that. But I think just the me versus world mentality, it's just a negative, it's, as they say, toxic. It's not a good mindset to have. It feeds the ego that you are better than the world, that I can do, I'm gonna beat everybody. I'm gonna have the most shit, It's not an ideal life. No one's happy in that life, because they're just always going to be chasing more and more shit, because guess what? The world always wins. The world always wins if you try to fight it. It's going to knock your bitch ass out forever. So yeah, me versus me. Conquer yourself you'll do what needs to be done. All right, so last thing I have written down. Let me see how far we in. 30 minutes, not bad. Okay. So that means I've gone on tangents enough, so it's gone a decent amount. I'm fucking with it. All right, cool. All right, last thing. I'm gonna take one more rip here. Probably a little water. I'm a little dehydrated. Cottonmouth. Fucking weed and coffee. Recipe for cottonmouth and bad breath. Alright, so last thing I have written down right now that I'm going to talk about is that social social justice warriors. So I get them. I get what they're doing. And I'm probably been guilty of it myself as well in my life. Of people basically just, being Twitter trolls and Twitter megaphones of stuff to try to get better social justice. I think it's coming from a kind place in that they see fucked up shit in the world and they're screaming it out and calling it out. And I think it's good in some aspects where shit deserves that, like the Harvey Weinstein shit, the Bill Cosby shit, the list goes on and on. But there is a point where it goes too far. I don't really have any prime examples for you when it goes too far, honestly. But you know it when you see it. But basically, the crazy thing is about these social justice warriors is, I get them calling people stuff out for things you shouldn't do. That's right. Yes, you should do that. But the problem is they're going too far left. And it's not even too far left. They're just going off the grid. They're not even on the line anymore, the spectrum. They're making a completely unlogical arguments now. They're just saying falsehoods and passing on false shit, false news, false information, accepting false papers and datas in academic journals just to support their claims, their very biased claims. Essentially, what they're doing is breeding this cult that is so progressive that you can never be too progressive. Like, it will always go one step more to the left or off the grid. It just takes one step each and every, not day, but who knows what the time scale is. And basically all it's going to do is keep pushing anybody that doesn't strictly align to this cult's logic. It's just going to push them further to the right, even if you're on the left, even if you consider yourself a liberal. Like, I have some pretty liberal ideas. Like, I just smoked weed on here. I think all drugs should be decriminalized. I think if you want to put a fucking drug in your body, whether it's fucking weed or fucking meth or cocaine, and as long as you're doing it in a safe space, own place, you assume the risk and you don't hurt anybody, I think you should be able to do that. Now, I don't think some of those or most of those drugs should be legalized to where we have private businesses, private sanctioned businesses where it's been sold and stuff. Definitely think that we should have that for weed. But what was I saying? Oh, I was saying how I have liberal ideals. So that's one. I think everyone should be considered created no, not created equal. Hell no, that's not possible. But everyone deserves the same alienable rights and same legal rights, no matter of race, gender, ethnicity, hair color, eye color, whatever the list is. Whatever that separates us by fucking less than 1%. I also believe, I don't know if I believe in it, but I've been tossed around the idea of universal basic income, which might be needed, but who knows. Universal healthcare would be cool too, but I don't know either. I'm too dumb to really decide on that one. I'm sure I'll talk about some of those later on, blah, blah, blah. But, all these crazy social justice, way too progressive people are going to do who just, no one's as good as them. No one's as unracist or unbiased or unsexist or unwhatever-ist in the world for them. And all it's going to do is keep pushing people further and further right. Even if you're on the left, you'll go right. You won't go right, but you'll lean further right. You'll just be like, oh, well, I'm not going to go with them. And they're just going to keep expanding the spectrum further and further left. So all this is going to do is divide them. But the good thing is, most of their arguments, not most, but a lot of the crazy ones that defy logic and reason, they won't survive. That's just plain and simple, unless laws are put in place for like hate speech laws and shit like that. Because, I agree, there's some things that we shouldn't call certain people in this world, and some words or phrases that shouldn't be uttered. But if you allow a government to decide and dictate what those words or phrases are and how they can interpret it, that's a slippery slope. And that just leads to more and more things you're not allowed to say. And eventually that just leads to, you can only say what we tell you to say. Or speak when spoken to, bitch. And, fuck that, honestly. So, it's not good. I think we all need to find common ground. And it's really hard to find truth out there, but I think the only way to really find it, because no one's gonna who knows, on the current events and things that happen, who knows what the really truth is, especially if you read a breaking news story, who fucking knows. They're just going, first draft, putting that shit out there, trying to get views and clicks and stuff, and then the real news comes out 2-3 days later by people that were actually there and what happened. So who knows what the truth is, and it's hard to decipher, but I really think the only truth that you can find is really within yourself. And try to bounce these ideas back and forth in your own mind, in your own head, no matter what it is. And that's really the only way I think you can do it with another person too. It'd probably be better. But it's hard to have conversations with people that you don't essentially agree on. So what you need to do, and it's really hard, you need to try to separate yourself emotionally from essentially what are debatable topics, I was never in a debate club, but I imagine, if you do debate, you present facts and statistics, and arguments by verified scientists and shit like that. That's real sophisticated. To back up your claims, and whoever has the best supporting argument wins. And I think that's how it should be for anything that we're discussing of importance or value. Obviously there should be room to fuck around and joke around with your friends, but if you actually want to discuss ideals and how things, like how you want the country or the world or your community or your neighborhood to be, you have to be willing to emotionally separate yourself and try to put yourself in other people's shoes. It's really fucking hard. It's impossible. But you gotta try. And the best way I found for me is literally just, I guess like I'm doing now, just be a crazy person and just literally bounce ideas back and forth in your mind, if there's, like, the first topic I started with, like, fucking abortion. There's a topic, okay, say, reason A, pro-life, this is what I think, A, B, and C, I get this about it, I don't really get this about it, and then state the other side. Or, here's better, because this actually works better, especially if you're good at playing devil's advocate, and being a crazy person and talking to yourself and to your ego and your conscious or whatever that guy is, or you are. Literally just say, if you have a topic, whatever it is, just say, for one of the sides, say, the first argument that comes to mind, like, and then the next argument, or the next thing you'll say is from the other side in your head, or you can write it out. I found writing out helps it out a lot. I actually did this before, so this would make a good example. Let me see if I could find that. Was it discipline? No. Here's a go. Oh shit, here's a good one. Okay. So I actually did this, so this will be a perfect example for what I'm trying to explain without rumbling and using abortion as an example and end up saying some shitty shit. Because that's what I'll eventually say shitty shit if you just keep being devil's advocate to both sides of an argument. So, yeah, just for example, how you can try to see both sides of, pull up by your bootstraps, America, we're cowboys, we do it all, blah, 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 be a fucking man, pussy, that shit. That's the one side, the bad, you could call him the bad guy if you want, but he's just a guy, he's a rough guy. Or on the other side, there's like the vegan guy, he's got long hair, he strokes a guitar, he loves cats, smokes a lot of dope, he's a shaman on the weekends, walks around in sandals, skinny as fuck, probably get beat up by a bunch of chicks. Take that guy too. And pit him back and forth in your head, essentially, because we're both those people. We're just combined into one, and you're either, like 49% one way, or vice versa, or a little more. Who fucking knows? That's science, though. That's pure science right there, what I just stated. So essentially, here's an example of how to try to see both sides of the argument. I had this idea. I wouldn't say, I guess some people would probably consider me a dark person, but I know certain things I don't know. I just see certain things and I'm like, okay, I know that. And blah, 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 blah. I don't know. But basically, I had this thought the other day. That basically all paths lead to death. Now, it's a dark idea. It's pretty dark. So essentially, no matter what you do, no matter if you're a rich billionaire CEO and end up running the country, or you're a bum on the side of, State Street, just trying to survive, laying in the street, when it's snowing. No matter what your status is, how much money you make, how much TVs you have, or whatever, how many girls you fucked, how many dicks you sucked, if you suck dick, none of that matters. I mean, I'm not saying that none of that matters. I'm saying no matter what you do, all paths in life, at least as far as we know now, lead to death. Maybe we'll discover to be immortal in the next 20 years. Who knows? Or maybe there's an afterlife or whatever. Who knows? But we know pretty much for a fact nobody lives forever. I'm safe to go on that limb and say, pretty sure nobody has lived forever. So essentially I had a thought that all paths lead to death. And so the argument to that is, so what's the point? What's the point of living if I'm gonna die? We're all gonna die. So what's the point? Why are we trying to do this? Why don't I just shoot myself now? So the argument to that is, well, the point is to enjoy the ride. At least the way I see it, the argument, this is my own brain arguing with itself, essentially. The point is to enjoy the ride and make other people's paths more enjoyable or bearable, Even though we know the destination. Like, we know we were born. We know we've been down this path for a while. Either you realize on the path, or you just found out, whatever. Or you don't even know what path you're fucking on. Like most of us, I'd say all of us probably. The point is to enjoy it, because we already know the destination. So the point is to enjoy the ride and try to see if you can make other people also enjoy the ride, because it's more enjoyable when you have friends and to do stuff with. And then the argument to that is, well, but the point of life isn't to simply enjoy the fruits of his labor. The point isn't just to be like lollygagging through the forest, getting drunk and smoking weed and fucking each other all the time. That sounds like a fucking blast. I'm down. Down for that. That sounds awesome. But like after like a week, I'm trying to like build a hut or something. Like, I'm tired of fucking on the ground. Or I don't know. And so the argument of, but the point of life isn't simply to enjoy its fruits of its labor. Well, yeah, maybe not. And I would personally agree. Yeah, I kind of agree with the points of life is sort of to agree, but that's for yeah. So argument to the point of life isn't simply to enjoy the fruit of its labor. I'd say probably not, but I think most of us believe it should be up to every individual to decide on their own, what path they want to go on. Either you want to go down the path of just fucking in the woods forever and ever, and honestly it sounds kind of fun, and just build like a little tribe and a little cult out in the woods and just have a nice little cult, and it'd be dope. You guys all get along and fuck each other, and it's awesome. You live happily ever after. Till you die. But, or you can do some other shit. There's a lot of other stuff out there. You don't have to do that. It's up for everybody to decide. Or you can be a cop, You can be a fireman. You could be a banker. You could be a programmer. Do whatever you want. You know, you could do you're fucking in college. You don't have to fuck forever. Fucking's awesome. I love it. But, you know, your dick starts to hurt after a while. So then, okay, so the argument for every individual, and it's not even the same, especially if you write this out, like this is a really good example, because I can expand on each and every one of these. So if you expand, so it's not like you're arguing, as I said earlier, with those same two guys, you know, the guy pulled up Irish bootstrap America cowboy dude versus the fucking vegan guy that, you know, tongue licks kitties or whatever. I don't know. It's not always those two guys in the arguments. So the arguments are always just devil advocate of the previous argument. That's all you're doing. You literally just make the devil's advocate of the last thing you just said. And you just do that over and over again until you find some kind of balance in the middle. You're like, oh, some kind of understanding. At least within yourself, or you could try with other people, but other people, it doesn't go too well if they're not open-minded. Gotta have some unique friends. So the argument to everyday individuals should essentially decide on their own path and what they want to do with their life. The argument to that is, well, I disagree, because not every individual acts rationally and walks the path that they should. And just off the top, I'm going to say, yeah, I don't act rationally. I'd say most of us don't. Otherwise, we'd have completely different paths. Like, that's kind of part of life. And so what I say to that, agreed, but it's up to them. So I said, yeah, agreed. Rationally, you can't walk that path. But it's up to them and the people closest to them. Try to help guide them in what they believe to be the quote unquote correct path. Yeah, and that's pretty true too. I'd say, yeah, I'd agree most people don't act rationally. I don't act rationally, and so it's up to yourself, me, and people closest to them, if they want to help, if they're decent people and they love these people, to try to guide them in what they believe to be the correct path. And everyone's idea of the correct path is different. That's why I said quote unquote. There's no correct path. There's just the path you're in, and you know, you try to get back to where, you know, quote unquote should be, or where you think you should be or want to be. You know, it's for you to decide. It's literally up to you. So the argument to that is, you shouldn't count on others to show you the way. The path can only be cleared on your own. Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. Like, the path can be only cleared on your own, but at the same time, I have an argument right after here. I'm just going to skim it, because I go two in unison after this. I start going too in detail, because then I start to agree on shit and get rolling. The devil's advocates turn into fucking... You turn two of them, you have a Jesus or something, right? Isn't that how it works? Path can only be cleared on your own. So I kind of agree with that. A lot of times you can only see it in your eyes. Like, so really, it's only there if you see it. But at the same time, if you have really good social skills and you have people that, you know, believe in you, or, you know, love you and want to walk down the same path, or you, or walk down parts of your path with you, whether they come in, you know, unknowingly or whatever, you know, by accident, by random, It's good. And while yeah, so even though you may be with other people in your path, you know, it doesn't always have to be your path, as long as you are on the same page with another individual or a group of people, group of friends. You know, this is the path we're walking, this is our path, like, no matter what, we're doing this together. Even if that turns into a week from now, you know, who knows? You go down that path together, and either it's closer to where you should, whatever that is or want, then awesome. If not, then okay. You still got plenty of path to go. Still lots of way to go. A lot of clearing to do. A lot of other people are on the paths too, trying to find where they should be going too. It'd be nice if we could all just work together. We could all find it. I'll help you find your path, you help me find mine. Vice versa. Help your buddy find his path. Help your girlfriend find her path. Your mom. Your dad. Anybody. Sister. Cousins. Aunts. Uncles. Nephews. Nieces. Nieces. You know? That's really what it's all about. And I'm antisocial as fuck, and talked to an hour into a phone by myself like a crazy person. But that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. Whatever I just said about the past and different people and helping each other. And yeah, you just gotta remember, down these same paths, there's gonna be obstacles. You know, there'll be a boulder in the road, a tall tree, a stream to cross. And some people are gonna choose, you know, just to go by the stream, or, you know, go alongside it instead of trying to cross it, trying to build a bridge and cross it or something like that, or swing across it. And you say you'll meet up on the other side, and you never do. Sometimes you do. Who knows? You don't know until you know. Until you go. Keep moving. But you don't have to keep moving if you don't want to. You know, you might hit a mountain and be like, well, what the fuck? I don't want to climb a fucking mountain. It's cold up there. You see the snow up there? I don't want to climb that shit. Decide, fuck it. Like, that's a cool view. I'm gonna stay here for a little bit. We'll set up camp. Maybe one day I'll climb that mountain. Maybe one day. And then maybe you have friends that continue. Or you continue and you have friends that stay behind. Either way. There will be times where obstacles or forks in the road, maybe there will be a cleared path. And then you see another cleared path and you're like, do I take that right? Or do I continue on this path? Who knows? You just gotta know, you gotta keep, I think you gotta keep moving. Not literally, like, you don't have to keep physically moving where you move all the time or whatever. But in the metaphorical sense, you gotta keep moving down that path, trying to keep learning, keep growing. Just keep, it's me versus me, as I said earlier. It's me versus me, it's you versus you. You know, we're not trying to fight the world. If we just all work on ourselves, everything else will figure out. The world will fucking fall right into place, right where it should be. Right where it should be. All right. I'm gonna give a peace out.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.